And will you visit Damascus?
Are you from Syria?
No, but
Where are you from?
I'm from Palestine.
Oh, you're making a lot of progress, huh? Very good. Well, they like you. The Palestinians like me. The Palestinians are doing very well, actually. I think we're working very closely with
Oh, they're doing very well.
Make everybody happy, including Israel, the Palestinians, and everybody. That's very interesting.
No, they do it. They love me and the Israel. Everybody loves each other over there. That whole area there. It's just a big love fest going on. And yeah, those Palestinians doing very well. Here's new. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show, everybody. Keaton and Russ from Due Dissidence in for Jimmy while he is on the road. Well, Donald Trump had some very, very kind words for the Palestinians yesterday. Very kind words. This just warms your heart to hear that. So he's taking a question from a reporter during his meeting with the Saudi Crown Prince. And every time he detects an accent from a reporter, especially a woman, it seems, he has to ask where they're from. He's just this weird personality quirk where when he hears an accent, he's like, oh, it's an interesting accent. Where are you from? What was the guy? What was the time? Didn't he ask somebody that? He asked, where'd you learn to speak English to the Liberian president?
Yes.
The Liberian
Yes.
president says Liberia.
We speak English.
We
yes.
speak English there. Yeah. So here he is asking a reporter where they're from, and they tell him they're Palestinian.
Will you visit Damascus?
Are you from Syria?
No, but
Where are you from?
I'm from Palestine.
Oh, you're making a lot of progress, huh? Well, they like you. The Palestinians like me. The Palestinians
They
are doing
love
very
you.
well, actually. I think we're working very closely with a lot of people that make everybody happy, including Israel.
You know, you look kind of fat for a Palestinian. I hear they're kind of hungry over there. Am I right? it's a funny joke. Am I right? Oh, that's a great thing to say. One more time.
Syria. And will you visit Damascus?
Are you from Syria?
No, but
Where are you from?
I'm from Palestine.
Oh, you're making a lot of progress, huh? Very good. Well, they like you. The Palestinians like me. The Palestinians are doing very well, actually. I think we're working very closely with
Oh, they're doing very well.
Make everybody happy, including Israel, the Palestinians, and everybody. That's very interesting.
No, they do it. They love me and the Israel. Everybody loves each other over there. That whole area there. It's just a big love fest going on. And yeah, those Palestinians doing very well. Here's new drone footage from just a couple of weeks ago.
I hear they're calling it genocide Woodstock over there.
Yeah, exactly. Here is Gaza City just a couple of weeks ago. They're doing great. Doing very well over there. You know, they love me. Palestinians, they really love me. They're very grateful. On top of that, in devastated Gaza, overcrowded tent camps spread amid the rubble. Palestinians reel under winter rains as Israel blocks Gaza shelter supplies. That's right, it's the winter. They tend to have rainfall in the winter, and the Palestinians are largely living in tents right now, which means the tents are flooding. Heavy rains flood Gaza tents with sewage, putting thousands of children at risk. Save the Children says children in Gaza are sleeping on bare, wet ground in clothing soaked with sewage water after heavy rains flooded hundreds of tents and makeshift shelters over the weekend, heightening the risk of disease as winter sets in. The group said more than 13,000 households were affected by Friday's flooding, as Gaza's sanitation system has largely collapsed after 2 years of Israeli bombardment, siege, and severe aid restrictions. With drainage systems destroyed, rainwater mixed with sewage inundated tents, soaking mattresses, blankets, clothing, and even food supplies. According to the humanitarian shelter cluster, 2/3 of Gaza's children, around 700,000, are living in tents that are falling apart after 2 years of bombardment and displacement. So to give you an idea of what that looks like, here's a video from Gaza notifications.
ايش طب اطلع يا اختي
يا الله رحمتك
طب اطلع برا
ايش اطلع ايش انا قلبي جرى تغرق ما خلص غرقت يا ربي يا الله انا بموت يا ربي
Once again, don't forget.
Palestinians like me. The Palestinians are doing very well, actually. I think.
No, they're doing very well. Doing very, very well. Here's some more Palestinians. A little girl clings to her grandfather, shaking from the cold as rainwater pours into their tent. Yep. On top of that, Israeli airstrikes killed 25 Palestinians in Gaza, rattling ceasefire. Again, the ceasefire rattled. Medics say. You know what the date on that is? It's a little small, the font. Today, November 19th, Israeli airstrikes killed 25 Palestinians. So flooded, hungry, denied basic aid. And, by the way, despite the quote-unquote ceasefire, still being bombed. But they're doing very well. They're doing very well. And he has great things to say about the Palestinians. So does his press secretary here, who's still, as late as this week, using the word Palestinian as a slur and an own against Chuck Schumer.
They are moving to the left. They ran Senator Gillibrand and Senator Manchin out of town. Now they're running Chucky Schumer out of town. It's too bad he turned into a Palestinian. He did it for nothing, like President Trump says, because his own party is turning against him. And the Democrat Party is truly becoming a full-blown communist party.
Well,
yeah, right, sure. Still using the word Palestinian as a slur. By the way, folks, all this happening as the United Nations, that glorious body. Thank God for them, right? They just adopted a resolution authorizing a board of peace and an international stabilization force in Gaza, as outlined in a United States comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. What that really means, from Mondo Weiss, UN Security Council approves Trump's Gaza peace plan, greenlighting U.S.-Israeli control of Gaza's future. They write, on Monday, the United Nations Security Council approved the Trump administration's peace plan for Gaza. The resolution calls for the establishment of an international stabilization force to demilitarize and govern Gaza while Israel withdraws from the area. It also includes the formation of a peace board in line with Trump's plan, stipulating the deployment of international forces to stabilize Gaza, and grants the peace board a mandate until December 2027. According to a U.S. official quoted by Axios, the stabilization forces would have an executive role, not a mere peacekeeping one, which means they would have the authority to disarm Palestinian factions and oversee security matters in the Strip. This aligns with Israeli demands that the deployment of international forces should be under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter, which not only grants them executive powers, but also facilitates the formation of these forces without approval from all parties. The resolution also references the prospect of a Palestinian state if a, quote, credible pathway is established as a result of the plan. Who decides what's credible and not credible? You guessed it, the Americans and the Israelis. The vote is facing strong backlash from Palestine advocates across social media. The UN Security Council has just adopted the horrific U.S. resolution with 13 yes votes and 2 abstentions, tweeted human rights lawyer Craig Mokiber. Not a single family of the council had the courage, principle, or respect for international law to vote against this U.S.-Israel colonial outrage. Prior to the vote, Hamas released a statement on Telegram rejecting the presence of an international force in Gaza. Assigning the international force with tasks and roles inside the Gaza Strip, including disarming the resistance, strips it of its neutrality and turns it into a party to the conflict in favor of the Israeli occupation, it read. Any international force, if established, must be deployed only at the borders to separate forces, monitor the ceasefire, and must be fully under UN supervision. Other Palestinian political factions collectively rejected the resolution. In a joint statement on Sunday preceding the vote, the factions called the U.S. resolution a new attempt to impose another form of occupation on our land and our people. The statement added that any foreign intervention in Gaza is a violation of our national sovereignty and a continuation of our people's suffering. And the only way to achieve stability is by ending the occupation, lifting the siege, and the respect of our people's rights and inalienable rights. Medea Benjamin puts it well. The UN is a miserable joke. The nation that provided the bombs for Israel's genocide, the US, is now in charge of the Gaza peace plan with a global stamp of approval. This is insane, pathetic, and it utterly discredits the UN. So, in other words, the Palestinians are doing very well. They're doing very, very well. Drowning in sewage water, freezing in cold temperatures, in flooded tents, still being bombed from the air. And there's no cavalry coming because the United Nations just approved without a single nay vote, because Russia and China, in a real display of courage, decided to abstain rather than veto it, which they could have. They have now put Donald Trump and the Israelis in charge of not only the reconstruction of Gaza, but the management of this so-called peace.
Yeah, and in the West Bank, you have these inbred cousin fucking settlers burning down people's olive groves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really something that puts the lie to the idea that civilization has advanced. We like to think we don't do things like the Trail of Tears anymore, but we do, and we're doing it right here in broad daylight. We like to think we wouldn't do things like the famine in India caused by the British, or in Ireland for that matter, caused by the British.
Right.
But here we are. This is as bad as any of the worst genocidal crimes committed by Western powers certainly in modern history. And by modern, I mean the last several hundred years. It's not that you can't find examples where we were responsible for equal crimes. You can't really find greater ones. Like look at those videos. Look at that. How are these people supposed to survive? You just had these planes land in South Africa that are being flown out of Palestine by a very cryptic organization that actually only takes cryptocurrency as payment, so that there's no way to trace its funding. And they're working with the Israeli Defense Department. They're not doing this to get around the Israeli Defense Department. That's part of the ethnic cleansing. Look at that. Part of this peace plan is that they are specifically not going to rebuild within that area.
Within the red zone. Yeah.
How long can people live like that? And you have this organization taking Palestinians out. Look, as much pride as you might have, as much of a desire to maintain your cultural legacy and your right to that land as you might want, what are you going to do when you have your little granddaughter there who's going to die if you don't get her out, and they offer you can get out? We'll get you out. We'll take you to another country. The plan is ethnic cleansing, to keep it so intolerable that just for the sake of people's families, man, they're going to leave if you give them the option eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. So because I don't have that in the graphic, but since you mentioned it, they partitioned Gaza essentially into a red zone and a green zone. So the red zone, most of the red zone, it's kind of a U shape with obviously the sea on the western side, but the bulk of the land in western Gaza, which is where the most heavily populated areas are the red zone, which is not going to be rebuilt until, of course, they're done rebuilding the green zone, which is the Israeli occupied zone. And that is where this governing force is going to be the executive body. And so, yeah, it's pretty obvious what their goals are. In that, nothing is going to get better for the vast majority of Palestinians in Gaza unless it happens on the Americans and the Israelis' terms, which at best is a concentration camp. That's what they're talking about. But moving some people from the red zone into the green zone with the hopes that more people will want to move out in order to purge Gaza, which was the plan all along. And eventually, yes, ship people out. Right.
And you look at what they're doing in the West Bank, where they're destroying these olive groves that have been there for generations, so that these people have no way to make a living. just
Right.
constantly brutalizing them, making it impossible for them to live there. This is the Greater Israel Project, man. They're trying to clear Palestinians out of that entire territory.
Yep.
Come see me on tour in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Waikiki, Hawaii, and the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.